God is acknowledged me, honestly. Put the seat back in the odyssey. Prodigy, little mama. I'm just sucking to swallow me. Why tired?
Did the rapper Jadakiss get exposed for being a fraud in hip hop? The legendary Yonkers rapper Jadakiss was on the JBP podcast with his father, and some very interesting information come out. Like, let me just say this: nobody knows you like your family, like your mother, your father, your brother. But your brother gonna expose how much of a bitch ass nigga you are. That's a fact. That's a fact. Nobody knows you like family. And he had a lot of interesting things to say about the Yonkers MC. Now, anybody that knows Jadakiss, he's one of the greatest rappers. You know, does he have an incredible discography? I'd say no, but in terms of that pen, in terms of how he's able to construct lyrics and words and punchlines, he's undoubtedly one of the greatest that has ever touched the mic. But his father has unveiled some very interesting things about the Yonkers MC that a lot of us never really thought about. Where's all of this stuff that Jadakiss has been pulling from? Jadakiss has no prison record. He has no jail record. You know, all of these hard tells about, you know, my bathtub lifts up, my walls do a 360. Talking about dope that had the way talking about scales that they the dope is so crazy that we use the scales that they weigh the wells with. All of these fictionary tales about the drugs you sold, the guns you popped off. Where were you drawing from? Where was, you know, because we don't know much about Jadakiss in the streets, and his father exposed him. Let's go into what his father had to say.
Since he became a father, he just came to appreciate growing up in a two-parent household. Actually, it was a label that he didn't really want to talk about.
He didn't really want to talk about it, huh? You didn't really want to talk about you grew up in a two-parent home, middle class. You didn't want to talk about that, huh?
It wasn't street. I mean,
it wasn't street. I thought Jadakiss was from D Block. We are D Block. Mighty, mighty D Block.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
All this time, I'm thinking Jadakiss is the most streetest, most hood, thugged out dude from Yonkers. But your father says, nah, that was all cap. That was all fictionary tales from Jason.
So, I mean, and he didn't tell you he went to private school.
He went to private school?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
You telling me this nigga that sold all this dope in Yonkers, that busted off all these tools out in Yonkers, him and J Hood, Sheik Luch, Styles P, the D Block goons, the D Block generals, you telling me that it was all a facade?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
And this goes into my interesting take in terms of hip hop. Now, listen, I understand that hip hop is an art form. You know, do I expect every everything that these rappers rap about, do I expect it to be real life? No, I expect some embellishment here. I expect some imagination. I expect some creative writing. But from what I'm hearing is that Jadakiss, all of these street bars and all of these hood bars are fiction. Figments of his imagination. And it goes into my thing. Is Jadakiss the Donnie Brasco of hip hop? We never really looked into the background of Jadakiss. We've never really looked into, we were so fascinated with the wordplay, with the metaphors and the punchlines and the lyrics and the mixtapes. We were so enamored with that. Nobody bothered to look into this man's backstory after a 20-some-odd year in hip hop. Now, for me, as a hip hop listener, this doesn't take away anything from his pen. This doesn't take away anything from what he's done in hip hop for me. But there are people, right, in hip hop that will say, well, Jadakiss, he's kind of a fraud. He's a fake. He's a phony, a studio gangster. Everything he rapped about, he never lived none of that. He grew up in a 2-parent home. He went to private school. You went to Fordham Prep. That's a private school. You know the 8 Mile song? The 8 Mile battle. That was Jadakiss life in full. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people in hip hop that are going to look at this and say, well, he's the greatest fraud that ever did. And let me say this as well. Jadakiss is not the first to do this. He won't be the last. I can go back to Ice Cube. Ice Cube was a college student with good grades, mind you, a college student with good grades. And, he wound up joining NWA, and he was the biggest gangster from South Central, doing drive-bys every day, drinking 40s, smoking blunts. All figments of his imagination. So Jadakiss is not the first. He won't be the last. But let me know what you guys think. Is Jadakiss the greatest fraud who ever done it? Do you feel like this takes away his credentials as a hip hop legend? Do you look at him differently? Do you look at him as a fraud, a fake, a phony in hip hop? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video. This is the Check-In Report. We out.
Repping the road, foreign status with my name on their toes. These studies acknowledge me, honestly, put the seat back in the Odyssey, bodies, your little mama wanna suck and to swallow me, why